Also, even if there is an out-of-battery explosion, the AR-15 is designed to direct the expanding gases away from the shooter. So it would go down into the magazine well and also out the ejection port. So, yes, it's theoretically riskier if you're left-handed and you're shooting it. But as I mentioned, it's an extremely rare occurrence. So Eugene Stoner really thought about safety and designed the AR-15 to be a really safe rifle for the shooter. Not so much for the guy on the other end, but even with the addition of the forward assist, because all these safety features are already incorporated into the design, in practice it doesn't really impact safety. Anyway, so the Army in 1963 absolutely set their foot down when it came to having a way to manually close the bolt. And they did this for a few different reasons. The first is that they felt that conditions in combat are often so bad, dirty, and just muck and everything everywhere, is that so dust and dirt might get into the bolt and bolt carrier cavity in here. They also wanted a way to silently close the bolt if they needed. And with no bolt carrier assist, the only way to get the bolt carrier to close, if it doesn't close on its own, makes a lot of noise, unless you use your thumb or something to push against the recess here in the bolt carrier. And that's actually mostly a space for the dust carrier cover retainer. That's actually what it was designed for. The Air Force, meanwhile, didn't want the forward assist because they felt it was unnecessary based on some training or some testing they had done, and it added to the cost, and it was just another part that could potentially break and added expense, etc. So in the end, as the Department of Defense is looking at these two parties, the Air Force and the Army, they just threw up their hands and they just said, okay, you know what, we're just going to split the contract. Anyway, as you can see here, we have two different retro upper style receiver models that are very similar to those from the 1963 contract. One is a reproduction of the XM16E1, and one is a reproduction of the Air Force M16 upper receiver. And you can see neither of these actually have a brass deflector with a little triangle that pokes out here, which we would see in later models. Now, some other changes that came about and which were incorporated into the 1963 contract rifles are the following. There was a charging handle redesign. So the 45-degree charging handle,